Hello everyone, I am going to show you how to crochet this cute little heart-shaped basket. If you've seen my other tutorials, I always use this one for my stitch markers and some of my tapestry needles. The sides are worked up in a single crochet, but in a little bit of a different technique. So let's get started. This is the same weight yarn I was using for my basket, and I'm using a 3.5 millimeter hook today. We're gonna start out with a slip knot, and then I'm gonna chain 14. Okay, I just did 14 chains. Now we're going to turn our chain, and if you look in the back, we have these bumps on our back. So this one is our first bump, and this is our second bump right here. So we're going to start working into the second bump. Let's insert our hook, and we're going to do 3 single crochets into our second bump. That's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then after that you're gonna do 4 single crochets into the next 4 bumps. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. After you've done those 4, we're gonna decrease the next 3 single crochets. So I'm gonna insert into the hook, I pull up a yarn, I don't do anything with it right now, I just leave it there. I insert my hook into the next bump, I pull up a loop, and I just leave it there. And then I insert my hook into the next one, pull up a loop, and now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to yarn over and decrease. So we just decrease 3 stitches into 1. And then we're gonna do a single crochet into the next 4 stitches. One, 2, 3, and 4. And then here in our last bump, we're gonna do 3 single crochets. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. Okay, so to continue our row number 1, we're gonna turn our work and we're gonna work on the other side. So here's where you wanna pay attention. So here is the last stitch that we just did 3 single crochets in, okay? And so don't work the next stitch into the same one, but you wanna work the next stitch into the following stitch, which is right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. So it's really important that you work into the next stitch. Otherwise you're going to have an extra stitch. Okay, so this is the next stitch right here. You start right there. We're going to do 5 single crochets. So here was my first one, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And here at the top, right above where we increase below, we're going to do 3 single crochets into this next stitch. So this is our increase. So that was 1 into the same stitch, 2, into the same stitch, 3, and then we're going to do 5 single crochets until the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I had marked my first stitch earlier here today. I'm going to slip stitch into the first one, and that was round number 1. To get started with round number 2, we're going to start with a chain 1. Into our first stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochets. That's our first single crochets. I'm going to go ahead and mark my first stitch. Into the same stitch, I'm going to do another single crochet, and we're going to do the same thing in the next 2 stitches. So we're increasing in the first, second, and third stitch. So next stitch, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and in the third stitch we're going to do another 2 single crochets. That was 1 and that was 2. Okay, so that got us around the corner, and then we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. That was 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to single crochet the next 3 ones into 1. So we're going to decrease. So insert your hook into the next one, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the second one, pull up a loop, and insert your hook into the third one, pull up a loop. You have 4 loops, yarn over, pull through all of the loops. So that's your decrease. And then you're going to go 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets into the next 3 stitches. So we're going to increase. Okay, so that was the first double crochet, that was the first single crochet, and into the same stitch another single crochet. We're going to do the same thing for the next stitch. There was 1 and 2, and then we're going to do another increase into the next stitch. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets. Okay, and then we're going to do 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And into the next stitch, we're going to do 3 single crochets. So here's our first one, 1, into the same one, 2, into the same stitch, 3, and then you can do another 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And don't mistake this for a stitch. That was our chain 1 from the beginning of the row. We're going to slip stitch into the first stitch. So stitch markers are super helpful. And that was round number 2. Okay, let's start round number 3. We're going to start out with a chain 1, and then we're going to do a single crochet into the first stitch. So the first stitch is the stitch that you just slip stitch in. Okay, so don't skip that one. So single crochet into the first stitch, and into the next stitch we're going to do 2 single crochets. So we're going to do an increase. So that was 1 and then another single crochet into the same stitch. We're going to do that, repeat 2 more times. So single crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 single crochets into the following stitch. There was 1 and 2, and 1 more time, single crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the following one. Okay, and then you can do 2 single crochets into the next 2 stitches. So that was 1 and 2. You know you did everything right if you end up right here in the middle with 3 stitches, because this is our decrease. So we're going to decrease these 3 single crochets into 1. So that was my first loop, my second loop, insert into the third one. Here we go. You got 4 loops, and pull it all together. And then we're going to go up the hill with a single crochet and another single crochet. Okay, so here we are going to increase again. So in the next stitch, I'm going to do 2 single crochets, 1, and the second one into the same stitch, 2, followed by a single crochet into the following stitch. Okay, so repeat 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1, 2, and then 1 single crochet into the following stitch. And we're going to do that 1 more time. 2 single crochets into the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then a single one into the following stitch. And then you're going to do a single crochet into the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then here we are in the middle. We're going to do our increase. So we're going to do 3 single crochets into the stitch. So that was my first one. And I'm putting a second one in there and a third one into the same stitch. And then you go 7 single crochets into the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And you're going to slip stitch into the first stitch. And that was round number 3. Okay, let's work round 4. Just like any other rounds, we're starting out with a chain 1. Then into the first stitch, I'm going to do a single crochet. This is the first stitch. Mark your first stitch. Into the second stitch, I'm going to do 2 single crochets. So that was 1, putting a second one into the same one. So there was an increase. Then we're going to do single crochet, 1, 2, and then in this one I'm going to do 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Okay, let's do that. Repeat 1 more time. So single crochet, 1, and then the second single crochet into the second stitch, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets into the third one. Now we're coming close to the middle again. You know, the 3 stitches in the middle, we always do a decrease. So we have 2 more single crochets, 1, 2, and then we're going to decrease the next 3 single crochets into one. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, insert into the second one, and insert into the third one. Now yarn over, pull through all the loops, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets, okay. So after the 2 single crochets, we're going to do an increase, so 2 single crochets into the same stitch. That's 1, that's 2, and then we do single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to do another increase here, 2 single crochets into this stitch, followed by 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches. That's 1, that's 2, and then you're going to do 9 single crochets, that's 9, and then we're going to do 3 single crochets here for an increase into the same stitch. That's 1, 2, and 3, and then you're going to single crochet all the way back. And then you're gonna slip stitch to join. And that was round number 4. So this is the base of our heart, and now we're going to be working up on the side. So to get started, a chain 1, and then what you're going to do is you're going to insert back loop only, plus you're going to catch the base of that stitch. So insert back loop only and into the base of the stitch to do a slip stitch in round 5. Back loop only and into the base. And we're going to do that all the way around. Back loop only plus the base, and we're going to do a single crochet, not slip stitch. So pull up your loop, and here's your single crochet. So this was your first stitch in round number 5. So let's do that again. Back loop only plus catch the base of that stitch. Okay, that's what it should look like. Do that all the way around and then slip stitch into your first stitch, and I'll meet you back over here. So I'm doing my last single crochets here in round number 5, and then we're gonna slip stitch into our first stitch. Okay, so round number 6 is the last round in regards to the pattern, and then you just crochet it as high as you want to. So I'm going to start with a chain 1. Now, in order to get this single crochet pattern, you have to insert your hook into or in between the V shape of the single crochet. So pull it apart. So pull your work apart, find your V. So it might be hard to go in with your crochet hook like that because it's very tight, especially the first row. So I actually like to use my hook, insert it in between the V's, and go in that way. And on the back, I come out like this. Pull up your yarn and single crochet. Okay, identify your next V, which is this one right here. Use your hook, wiggle it way through, and single crochet. Here's our next V right here. Insert your hook this way and just go in like that. So if you use your hook here, it's going to be a lot easier. So find your next V. Okay, so you do that all the way around, and then at the end you slip stitch, and then continue to do that however high you want it. So I'm going to do a couple rounds and I'll meet you guys back. Are your hands hurting yet? Because my hands sure are hurting. So I did 6 rows of the single crochet stitch, and even though it does get easier, I feel like my hands always hurt after such a tight stitch. Leave me a comment below and let me know if you experience the same problems, if you have a solution for that. So here's my last stitch. Here we go. So I'm not going to slip stitch into the last one. Instead, I'm going to do an invisible join. So I'm going to remove my stitch marker. So put your yarn onto a tapestry needle, and then from the front to the back, insert your tapestry needle like this, and then go into the back loop only and try to grab some of that base stitch on the other side and pull it about the same width as all your other stitches, and that's your invisible stitch. And then you can fasten off the stitch and you're ready to go. So the cotton yarn that I used today doesn't hold the shape super nicely, so since I'm using this one basically every day, in order to get it to keep its shape, I actually did spray it with a starch and I let it dry overnight, and that should work just fine. But an acrylic yarn would probably hold the shape really nice. So this is the really cute, I think they call this a waistcoat single crochet. If you like this tutorial, give me a thumbs up. I'd love to see you guys next time. Talk to you later.